Holmes, proudly presented by the Nissan Navara. There are great deals on all current models, but be quick. Run-out deals only while stocks last. Pick up a great deal on a new Nissan Navara.
Life's too short not to enjoy it while you're here, so you must have some fun. Many people will say, well, you're crazy. You'll never do it. Why would you want to bother? That's irresponsible. To me, that's what life is all about.
The America's Cup. The trophy so precious to us, not only for the tens of millions of dollars it earns us, but for the pride and the honour it bestows upon this nation and the joy we felt when Peter Blake brought it home. Good evening. Sir Peter Blake's family got the call about 8 o'clock last night. The call from Alan Sefton in England brought the impossible news. Peter was dead. Peter was murdered by masked pirates on his research vessel at the mouth of the Amazon. So Peter Blake, hero to a nation, was dead. Well, that was last night. This morning, of course, we all found out. And today, this afternoon, I sat with Sir Peter's mum, Joyce, 86 years old, Mrs. Blake, and with Peter's brother, Tony, and his sister, Jan, and asked whether they had been surprised through the day by reactions from people.
I think it's been absolutely incredible. It's been wonderful. But
just marvellous, the outpouring of admiration, respect and love for him.
Yes. Yes, he really...
Everybody.
Yes, really was something. He really was a person in his own right. He was someone to know.
he's a person that inspired people, and I think that's what he's done. He's literally inspired the nation. He's, he's something that people can really hang their hat on and say, look what this guy's done. You know, maybe we can do that too.
Such a waste.
Absolutely.
Total waste.
Yes.
It's, somebody who had so much to look forward to, and, his aims and aspirations were incredible, what he was aiming for the next 5 years, total waste.
He was just getting into it, wasn't he, really? Just getting into his stride.
He struggled for years, didn't he?
He did.
But became the
But
father
that
of
makes you stronger, doesn't it? It made him stronger.
Well, it was 17 years for the Whitbread before the success in the Whitbread. I mean, that shows a strength of character.
When he was with Tony, making the yachts, building the yachts here and cracking the bath full of molten lead on your garden, Joyce, did you have an idea of his strength of character then?
Well, he's always had a mind of his own, if you know what I mean. He'd say, yes, Mum, all right. Yes, dear, that's all right. But then he'd go straight away and do what he was talking about, what he wanted to do.
Was he a good bloke?
Yes.
Oh, he was a great bloke.
He's a great bloke, great brother, good to be with, wonderful with children.
Wonderful
with children. Yeah.
Children and animals.
Yeah. And a boat.
Oh,
and boats.
The boats. Yes, of course, the boats.
I can't get over boats.
Boats. He used to speak a lot about living your dream because your dad, also a Navy man, a man of the sea, told him, live your dream. It doesn't go on forever. Take it while you can. Yeah?
That's right. Well, Peter was totally unorthodox. Rather than going to get a career in something, he took off after, going to tech for a little while overseas to go yachting. Totally out of the ordinary. And that was the way he wanted to do it, and he went and did it. And Dad said, go for it. I think it's great.
Had great parental support.
Great, yes.
Great family support, always.
Can you believe it yet, do you think?
No, it's very difficult, really. I think I can believe it now, that he won't be coming home, but we'll never forget him. I may say, whatever, we'll never forget what he was like, and how he worked around here and put the boats in the water and painted them and had us, working on the boats as well, and then we'd all sail with him, and it was a marvellous life. So I should say thank you for such a good life, having him as a son.
Have you spoken to Pippa?
Yes, we have. Yes. Devastated. And the children too.
The children too, yes.
Sarah Jane had just started
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
university.
Yes.
And
James was at boarding school, so she went in with a friend and she brought both of the children home. Where they are now was her.
Mm.
So how should we remember Sir Peter Blake, Jan?
I think as a great leader of men, but also he was my brother, you know, my loved brother.
Tony?
Yes, well, such a person who's so motivated, such an inspiration, but also just a wonderful person to be with.
Mm.
You know, great time.
And how you were proud of him?
Very. Yes, very proud of him indeed.
Hugely.
Yes. Well, I'm proud of all my family. I sort of feel, you know, I'm mum of a marvellous lot.
So Mrs. Blake, still there in the house in which the family grew up, where Peter and Tony made their boats, where they spilt the molten lead all over the garden. Joyce still tends that garden, 86 years old. And of course, at the bottom of the garden, the Blake Garden, is the sea, where Sir Peter Blake learnt to sail the little boats he built. When we think of New Zealand yachting, we think of the names Sir Peter Blake, we think of Grant Dalton, we think of Coutts, we think of Butterworth, Schnackenberg, so many. But we also think of the name Peter Montgomery, who's known Peter Blake since the early 1970s. How big has his contribution been? Been a lot of talk about that today. Where do you put it?
Well, when you look at his CV compared to others, who else in the world of sailing can say on their CV that they've headed campaigns that have won the Whitbread, now the Volvo Ocean Race, and the America's Cup? I mean, Peter Blake's the only one, so that about says it all. I mean, his ability to be able to mount the campaigns, have a dream, and then follow it up by doing the action, first of all getting the funding and getting the confidence of astute businessmen like Sir Tom Clark and Douglas Myers, and then be able to deliver on the commitments. And if things didn't work out, like Saramco New Zealand, broken mast, Lion New Zealand, marginally off the pace, then Peter still had their trust and confidence and still had their financial resources. And the end result, the key message there was never give up, just keep trying, learn from your experience, and pulling off that stunning victory with Steinlager 2 was outstanding. And again, that similar ethos moved on then to the Jules Verne campaigns. They nearly sank and lost their lives on the first attempt off Cape Town, but they came back stronger and better with that stunning 74-day record. And then, of course, the similar process followed on, particularly in America's Cup 95.
Some hairy scrapes at sea, of course, over the years, as you mentioned a couple. A lot of people have said today, look, if Peter Blake got involved, you had the confidence things would get done. It would get done. A sailor, I think, today said you knew if you were at sea with Peter, you'd be safe.
Yes.
You could trust your life to Peter. What was he like at sea? You spent time with him at sea.
Yes, I did. And I remember once on a delivery voyage through the Southern Ocean with some of the younger crew in Saramco, New Zealand. They weren't wearing life harnesses, and when PJ Blake saw that, he just went ballistic. So, yes, they knew about the raw elemental forces and how tough nature could be, but it was always important to be ready for it. And I remember being on board Lion New Zealand in that horrific Sydney Hobart where life was lost for the first time, and where over 2/3 of the fleet withdrew by the time we even got to Bass Strait. And it was rugged, really hard going. And Peter's inspirational leadership when all of the crew was seasick was just fantastic. He was quite assertive, in contrast to the wonderful race in the Fastnet in '89, Steinlager 2 versus Fisher and Paykel, 12 hours out from the finish in Plymouth, and both boats cheap by Jowl, both New Zealand skippers, Grant Dalton, Fisher and Paykel, New Zealand, his crew, Peter Blake, Steinlager 2, wanting to stick it up each other for the psychological jump going into the Whitbread. And the way Peter Blake operated then, Brad Butterworth, one of the watch captains on the wheel, and he had Ross Field and Kevin Shoebridge and Mike Quilter as navigator, and just the way he was evoking a discussion on how to break through, and which they did. It was just it was just so different.
Big day for you two, because to some extent, just briefly, but you've measured your career with Peter Blake in a way, haven't you? I mean, what you do today is largely in a way because of what Peter Blake and others.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, my broadcasting career has been parallel. The rise and rise of New Zealand sailing, the rise and rise of Peter Blake has partly allowed me to go to some of these great regattas around the world. And I've been, you know, I took it as a great honour to be invited as a strap hanger on Steinlager and Saramco and Lion New Zealand, to be able to get close to see Blake and his various crews operate, because top sport is a study of people under stress, and to see how they handle it, either the stress of the elemental forces or the stress of competition.
You've spoken to Pippa today.
I have, yes. She's coping, I think she's putting on a very brave face. But she did say that, you know, I mean, quite obviously, as we all would expect, the hard task of going to see Sarah Jane at university in Bristol and then going to Paul to pick up James from school and tell them both to their face that the father's been murdered by a bunch of pirates.
Just before Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, so she's struggling with that. But, you know, she's a strong person, and in some ways, as Betty Ann Rutter said to me today, it's a shame she's not here in New Zealand, really, to share the grief with a nation, because somehow today, New Zealand has become united in many ways. I think the impact of September 11's been surpassed by this business of Peter Blake. And if Pippa was able to see that, not just flags at half-mast, feel and touch the sentiment of New Zealanders, because Peter really was so well liked and appreciated and revered. And if she really saw that, it would help her in her darkest moment.
Thank you, Peter Montgomery.
Thank you, Paul.
Still to come on the programme, on our tribute to Peter, our programme for Peter. Two families share their memories, their Christmases, their holidays, and the Blakes. And also tonight, Sir Michael Fay, who's back in the country today. First, though, here's a word from marine biologist Mark Orams, Peter's friend who worked with him in the Amazon.
He said to me, you know, Marco, the America's Cup, it's just a bloody yacht race at the end of the day, you know. But this is something that I really care about. And he was just so passionate about doing something that would make a difference for future generations, so that all the things he'd seen during his life out on the oceans of the world would be around for his children and his grandchildren, for all of our grandchildren.
I think of him now, just a few hours on. I think of those parties, and I think of him, tall, big guy with his long hair, drinking Steinlagers with the boys, out of the pressure, out of the public focus, throwing his head back and laughing and telling the old jokes. He had that side. He was able to live almost a double life, where he projected the visionary, the statesman, the hero, but he also just loved being one of the lads.
Round the world yachtsman, also one of our great sailors, one of our great competitors, great campaigners, Grant Dalton, remembering Sir Peter today, remembering him very graciously today too. Sir Peter, of course, one of his great rivals. Another man who for a number of years was our Mr. America's Cup before Sir Peter Blake got the bug and went and won the cup is Sir Michael Fay. Now, he arrived back in the country today, got off the plane to the news that Sir Peter Blake was dead. In fact, you'd only seen him a couple of months ago at Cowes, and I think you spent some time with him. What did he tell you? What did he tell you about his new life? What did you talk about?
Well, it was interesting, Paul, because we had dinner the night, the Jubilee, it was the America's Cup Jubilee Regatta. And the night it finished, we had dinner, a family dinner, and we were chatting, and he was going the next day on this expedition.
So you recommended he party?
Well,
excuse me.
Peter was always a figure in public, and at times a different figure in private, with enormous humour. And a couple of rums with his mates was always a good time. But what came through was the enthusiasm for this project. He mentioned some yachting terms about the people around the America's Cup and his wish to get away from that public thing and get on with this project. He was hugely excited by it. Yeah, in fact, he was quite frank on the America's Cup to you, didn't he? He said that really that was something he just did, but this new project he had was something he loved. He didn't personally like the America's Cup much. It's not something that he did for himself. He told me in '92 when he first came and looked at it that he didn't want to do it, but he had a strong sense of duty. And he did it for New Zealand. It was an enormous commitment for him. One he would, in many ways, I think, have passed as an individual, but he felt there was a job to be done, and I think he sensed, he knew he was the man to do it. But it wasn't really him, was it? All of that being in the public eye all the time.
He obviously had an attachment to this new thing. What did he tell you about why he loved it, this new life he had?
He liked the opportunity to use the environment in an educational sense. He wanted to create a medium where they could communicate back to kids, particularly children all around the world who'd not had the chance to be where Peter had been or see what he'd seen. And I don't think I've seen him so excited or so stimulated.
Do you know, the America's Cup, we brought this in, had this brought in this afternoon, very generously brought in from the squadron, and I've been staring at it now for a couple of hours, and I think it's only since I really heard today of the death of Sir Peter Blake that I've really appreciated this for the first time. Do you know what I mean? Is that a silly thing to say? I mean, can we look, do we still perhaps not appreciate the achievement that winning that represents?
Well, I hope everybody does, because it's a simple statement, but it wouldn't have come to New Zealand. Peter Blake won the America's Cup for this country. We'd had 3 challenges before. We hadn't got it there. I don't think we would have ever got it there without Peter Blake. He won it. He then led a 5-year defence. He transformed the Auckland waterfront, and he won it again and defended it for New Zealand.
A lot of talk today about loyalty, about a lot of fun, his sense of humour, but also, Michael, his leadership. What did you see of his leadership? How did that work?
Well, I've seen things today, even earlier on television and on the radio, and the bottom line for me was always, people said, I said to someone once, if you were going to sail around the world, and if you didn't like boats, and you didn't like the water, and this was all a scary prospect, there'd be one man you'd go around the world with, and that would be Peter Blake. And I think leadership, planning, execution, communications, just stature. He was an unusual man.
Might we only now begin to understand how big he was, how brilliant he was now?
I think, Paul, only in a few times in your lifetime do you really meet someone, see someone who, when he goes, and we all pass from time to jobs, to wherever, no one, you sense no one, can or will ever fill his shoes. And there aren't many people like that. This country's never had many people like that. And Peter Blake was one of them. And I don't think anyone will ever fill his shoes.
Sir Michael Fay, thank you very much for your time. Sir Peter lived much of his life in the spotlight, a very public person in one sense, but as Sir Michael says, there was a deeply private Peter Blake as well, and few saw that private life of the legendary sailor. 2 families who shared Christmases with the Blakes say Sir Peter was a passionate man, he was a kind man who couldn't spend enough time with his kids. Joe Blackman's got children the same age as Sir Peter and Pippa. Maureen Robertson was on board the Seamaster just a few days ago. This from Simon Shepherd.
Hold it up, Don. What does it say? It says, take me home, I'm drunk again.
Take me drunk, I'm home again.
The private face of the public legend.
Hey, don't forget my birthday.
His generosity, her loyalty, and loves family life. Our kids and his kids have been friends ever since they were small, and we have had so many fun family times.
All right, boys, you do the drumming, they do the dancing.
Peter just comes out of himself, and those fun times.
Lots of love. Great.
Very kind, loved animals. But he was a private person. Christmas in the Caribbean.
Christmas in the Caribbean. The kids.
2 families that shared life and laughs with Sir Peter, Pippa, and their 2 kids.
No, don't do that. But we did used to have a lot of laughs.
Jo Blackman and her children Emma and Nick, the same age as the Blake children.
He's an action man, deeds not words.
Yep.
Maureen Robertson and her husband Don are long-time friends of the Blakes. Maureen returned 3 days ago from the Amazon and living on Sir Peter Blake's boat, the Seamaster.
It's just beautiful, totally beautiful. We felt safe. We were all did watches at night, and that included Pippa and myself, and we were up feeling totally and utterly safe.
Maureen's husband Don is now in charge of the Seamaster. She spoke to him early this morning.
Don told me there were 7 or 8 of them. But he was in a bit of shock. Peter went to get the gun, came with the gun, and they shot him. They shot him down below. He said, you know, Peter died saving all of them. He's a huge
huge loss.
I do not know this man.
A loss to the kids as well as the parents. Nick Blackman is a close friend of Sir Peter's son, James. They went to Chile together last Christmas on the Seamaster. Nick was about to rejoin the yacht.
He always liked young people, and he always took time out to, like, spend with us and explain stuff to us.
Don just did those for me a couple of days ago, before I left. I said, oh, I needed a couple of special photos of Peter, and those were two of my favourites.
Taken on Sir Peter Blake's last trip to save the environment.
Peter was passionate, absolutely passionate about saving the world and saving the sea. You just think, why? When he was trying to do so much good.
Happy birthday, dear James.
And I think Peter would hope that his passions are carried on, and he has inspired so many people. It will carry on, because I don't think we can...
No.
Yeah, ignore it. I mean, he's a neat chap.
What an example he was, what a wonderful life he made for himself and his family. Still to come, you know, he's been appearing on the Holmes programme. Peter Blake's been coming on this programme right through the years for as long as we've been going. Almost 13 years. He's been on the programme almost 40 times we've had him on. But here, before we look at that, is another of the great names of New Zealand yachting, Mike Quilter.
He had a good sense of humour. I can tell you lots of stories. We were talking about one this morning where one of the crew members put one across him, and he didn't like that, so he cut their face out of a magazine and glued it to the bottom of the toilet bowl to get his own back. So, but you could give him heaps, and he'd give plenty back.
When they had the parade down Queen Street, I was up on the platform when he arrived. It was an honour for me, and to be there with this heroic figure who'd done so much, and who New Zealanders in general admired so enormously. It was a great moment for me too.
A special memory from the man himself. We understand some of the most influential people in New Zealand yachting are at Team New Zealand at the moment, down at the dock, down in the shed, watching this program for Peter, and I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope we're doing him justice. This program has been running nearly 13 years, through so many of the evolutions of so many parts and people in this country. Through the years of the Whitbread victory, the Whitbread campaigns, the America's Cup win, the America's Cup defence, through all of the evolutions of a man called Peter Blake, we've been on the air, and he's been on this program almost 40 times.
It would be one of the most gruelling sporting events, the Whitbread Round the World Yacht Race. Peter Blake, of course, is a veteran of the Whitbread. This is his 5th, and he's with us tonight. But victory seems to be in sight, Peter.
Oh, a long way to go, Paul. Had 2 wins out of 2 legs, 4 more legs to go. We're not quite halfway as far as miles are concerned, so a lot of things can happen, so we're keeping our fingers crossed.
I haven't got any feeling about doing it at all again. I mean, we won it, all 6 legs plus the race itself, and I'd never be able to repeat that if we came back. I don't think anyone would ever be able to repeat it, so I'm going to finish on a high note, thank you, and go on and do something else.
Is this going to be the boat, do you think?
Well, I'm not on the water this time, Paul. I'm sailing a desk.
As a yachtsman, what do you need to beat Connor?
I think we've nearly got him beat. He hates New Zealand. I wonder why, Paul.
What went wrong, do you think?
I think at the end of the day, we really got beaten by a slightly better boat and a better program.
What's left to achieve after you've done this? I mean, this will be round the world without stopping. You've had a Whitbread victory.
I think put the oars over my shoulder, walk inland until someone says, what are those? And that's where I might stop for a bit.
Well, it's been a long, hard haul, whatever people at home may think.
I suppose too, people are curious to know, Peter Blake, whether you had those red socks on today.
Yeah, they're here, Paul. They're just one of those things, one of the little quirks that I have, I guess, and that have followed me since the Whitbread days, and whatever it may mean.
Your achievement, your victory in San Diego, was the most significant event in New Zealand's history since Everest.
I mean, climbing Everest was, I think, you know, it's a very, very different sort of exercise altogether.
I think the winning the America Cup was certainly probably the most fantastic thing that has been experienced in my lifetime in New Zealand, including the ascent of Everest.
You said you'd be retiring from competitive sailing after the America's Cup.
Yes, however, no one really has successfully won the America's Cup and then defended it.
The America's Cup is still New Zealand.
This has been a fantastic time for us. I wouldn't have changed a single second of it. But there's some more things I want to do that are on a slightly different tack, and so you'll hopefully see some of those coming to the fore in the next few years' time.
Peter Blake and some of his manifestations, some of his appearances on Holmes over, what, 13 years. Peter Blake has died. His life is over at the age of 53. So Peter Blake was always civil, always professional. He was always courteous, fun too, in all the dealings we had with him. 17 years, wasn't it, it took him to win the round the world race. As a young man, he dared to think, a young New Zealand sailor, he dared to think he could raise the money and take a New Zealand boat to line honours in a round the world race. It took him 3 boats to get it right, 17 years to reach his goal. 17. And then the America's Cup, a stunning victory and a faultless defence as the tens of millions of dollars poured into New Zealand. And of course we saw on the television again tonight during the news, didn't we? We were reminded that all of that construction down the bottom of Auckland City around the Viaduct Basin, that is all because of the achievements of the leadership of Sir Peter Blake. Peter himself, he believed life was short. He believed you must live your dreams. You must settle for nothing less. At a school prize giving I went to this week, the school motto, they said at the school, they said, you must reach for the stars. That life's all about reaching for the stars. And Peter reached for the stars. He reached for them on the great seas at night, and he reached for them through all of his life. If Pippa and Sarah Jane and James see this program at some stage on a tape or however, I'm sure that you watching at home will allow me to say to them on your behalf, we send you all of our love. Those were our people. That's our program for Peter. That's Holmes This Week.